Tariffs are supposed to protect workers, but what if they're quietly making economies weaker? You have heard a politician saying they're using tariffs to protect jobs at home? It sounds great, right? Like a superhero swooping in to save the day for local workers. But what if that superhero is accidentally setting the house on fire while fighting the bad guys? Today, we are diving deep into the world of tariffs to answer a huge question. Are they really saving jobs, or are they quietly killing our economic competitiveness? Let's start with a quick refresher. A tariff is basically a tax on goods imported from another country. The idea is simple: make foreign products more expensive so that people and businesses buy more domestic ones instead. For decades, governments have used tariffs for two main reasons. First, there is the political motive. It looks good to be seen as tough on foreign competition and pro-worker. It's a powerful message that wins votes. Second, there's the economic argument. Tariffs can shield young, developing industries from powerful foreign rivals, giving them a chance to grow. This is often called the infant industry argument. Now let's talk about the immediate effects. When a tariff is imposed, say on foreign steel, domestic steel companies get a boost. They can raise their prices because their main competitors are now more expensive. This can lead to increased profits and in the short term might even save or create jobs in that specific industry. It feels like a clear win. We've seen this play out recently. For example, when the US imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum in 2018, the stated goal was to revitalize American production and protect national security. Some domestic producers did see a temporary bump in business, but here's where the story gets complicated. That protected steel industry doesn't exist in a vacuum. Who buys steel? Car manufacturers, construction companies, appliance makers, a whole range of other industries. For them, the price of a critical raw material just went up. This is the first ripple effect, cost inflation. A study by the U.S. International Trade Commission found that while the tariffs boosted the iron and steel sector, they led to higher costs for downstream industries, ultimately resulting in a slight net decrease in overall U.S. GDP. Suddenly, American-made cars and washing machines become more expensive to produce. To stay profitable, these companies might have to raise their prices for consumers, absorb the cost and make less profit, or worse, cut costs somewhere else. And where's the easiest place to cut costs? Often it's jobs. So while we might be saving a few jobs in the steel mills, we could be losing even more on the assembly lines. This brings us to the impact on the wider economy. Manufacturers who rely on imported components get hit hard. Think about the tech industry. A smartphone is a global product with parts sourced from dozens of countries. If tariffs are placed on those components, the cost to assemble the final product in America skyrockets. This makes American companies less competitive against foreign rivals who don't face those same costs. They might be forced to move their assembly operations overseas to avoid the tariffs, which is the exact opposite of the intended effect of bringing jobs back home. Then there are the exporters. International trade is a two-way street. When one country imposes tariffs, it's almost guaranteed that other countries will retaliate with tariffs of their own. This is the trade war you hear about in the news. So if the US taxes European cars, the EU might retaliate by taxing American motorcycles, bourbon, or soybeans. This hurts American farmers and exporters who suddenly find their biggest markets shrinking. A report from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce highlighted how retaliatory tariffs from countries like China and the EU specifically targeted American agricultural exports, causing significant financial strain for farming communities. The very workers the initial tariffs were supposed to help indirectly can end up paying the price. And what about us, the consumers? We end up footing the bill. A study from the National Bureau of Economic Research concluded that the full cost of the 2018 tariffs was passed on to U.S. consumers and businesses. Whether it's higher prices at the grocery store for goods that were hit by retaliatory tariffs, or more expensive appliances and cars because of taxes on steel and parts, the cost of living goes up. The protection for one industry becomes a tax on everyone else. So, when can tariffs actually work? Historically, they have been effective in very specific, targeted situations. For example, if a country is trying to build a brand new industry from scratch, temporary tariffs can give it the breathing room it needs to scale up and become competitive on the global stage. This was a strategy used by countries like South Korea in developing their automotive and electronics industries. The key words here are temporary and strategic. It's like putting training wheels on a bike. You don't leave them on forever. They're also used as a tool in trade negotiations, a way to bring other countries to the table to address unfair practices like dumping, which is when a country sells goods abroad for less than they cost to produce just to capture market share. But when do they backfire? They backfire when they are used as a blunt, long-term instrument to protect inefficient or declining industries. When you shield a company from competition indefinitely, you remove the incentive for it to innovate, to become more efficient, and to produce better products. It can lead to stagnation. Instead of becoming stronger, the protected industry becomes dependent on government help, like a patient who never leaves the hospital. In the long run, this erodes the entire nation's competitiveness. It redirects resources, capital, workers, innovation away from industries where the country could be a world leader and funnels them into propping up ones that are struggling. So what's the final verdict? Are tariffs a form of protection or self-inflicted damage? From a purely economic standpoint, the consensus is pretty clear. While tariffs can offer short-term, visible benefits to a small protected group, their long-term, widespread costs often outweigh those benefits. They can disrupt supply chains, trigger retaliatory actions, raise costs for businesses and consumers, and ultimately reduce overall economic efficiency and competitiveness. It is like trying to fix a leak in your roof by blocking the entire plumbing system of your house. You might stop the drip, but you've created a much bigger problem. Looking to the future, the global economy is more interconnected than ever. Supply chains are incredibly complex and span the entire globe. In this environment, broad-based tariffs are an increasingly clumsy and damaging tool. The future of economic competitiveness doesn't lie in building walls, but in building bridges. It's about investing in education and innovation, fostering a skilled workforce that can adapt to new technologies, and creating an environment where new, dynamic industries can thrive. It's about focusing on what a country does best and trading for the rest. Instead of asking how we can protect old jobs from yesterday's economy, the more important question is how we can prepare our workforce for the high-skilled, high-paying jobs of tomorrow. This involves investing in research and development, modernizing infrastructure, and pursuing smart trade agreements that open up new markets for our most competitive industries, rather than closing our own. While the political appeal of tariffs is undeniable, the economic evidence suggests that true, long-lasting prosperity comes from embracing competition, not hiding from it. So next time you hear about tariffs being used to save jobs, remember to ask, which jobs? And at what cost to everyone else? The story is always more complicated than it seems. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the economic topics that shape our world. See you next time.